changing this thinking, which is happening. And we can look at any movement, whether it was the civil rights movement or the women's movement, or more recently, the gay movement. I mean, 25 years ago, if you said that in 2016 it would be a federal law that gay people could get married, you would have been laughed at. So we all need to remember that when we're feeling frustrated and we're feeling like we're not making progress. Because look at these three people on this panel here. We are making progress, and things will change. The wheels of justice grind slowly. The wheels of everything, I think, grind slowly. But I think change is going to happen slowly. What do you want to say, Kathy?
Just, if you don't know the study out of RPI that from a few years ago that found that there is a tipping point in social movement. Right, yes. The study looked at social movements around the world and of all stripes, and found that you can struggle, a social movement, women's rights, but fill in the blank, for decades and make very little progress until 10% of the population says this is wrong. And once the 10%, once you reach that number and 10% say this is wrong, gay people should be allowed to marry, children should not have to work in factories, whatever it is.
Women can vote.
Women can vote. Black people should not be enslaved. Whatever it is, then that's the point at which, to use the words of the study, change takes root like wildfire. Change spreads like wildfire. And don't we all, there's not a person in this room who does not see change no matter where you look. Look in the grocery stores.
Yes.
You're talking about
Excellent
food
point.
Animals, look in the grocery stores. They're different than they were
a
year ago.
A year ago, yeah. I mean, I always say that the vegan movement, when people say like, oh, I can't give up cheese, right? Isn't that the one thing we all always say, I can't give up cheese? And I always say, well, vegan food is like cell phones. Did you use a cell phone from 10 years ago? No. Technology has come leaps and bounds. Well, guess what? So is vegan food. Vegan food is like cell phones, and it's true. You see change everywhere. You really see change everywhere, and it is happening. And it may not be right in front of our faces, but it's there, and we are all warriors, and we all have to just keep doing what we're doing. Absolutely.
Probably breaking a bit off Kathy, saying some things that may be somewhat in opposition to each other. In opposition to each other. So
Louder, you're getting the louder.
In opposition to each other. One of the things is that remember that one thing we can try to do, and we do, is try to show judges who non-humans are, maybe even how close they are to humans. But remember, it's only relatively recently in history that all humans became persons. For a long time, sometimes women were things, slaves were things, mentally ill people were things. So it's not just the fact that, okay, they're human, now they ought to be a person. Because for hundreds and hundreds of years, many, many, millions and millions of humans were also things. On the other side, we do want to show judges what is going on so they can understand what you were saying. And so we're rapidly developing ways to do that. In our first cases, we simply had scientists sign affidavits. In our second round involving elephants, we now are having embedded videos so that when a scientist says something, then the judge can just hit the URL and watch the elephant do what the elephant scientist says. Now we're speaking to people with virtual reality, where we want to say and go out and show a judge with an Oculus, what it's like to be walking around. What's it like to be an elephant herd? What's it like to be with an orca in the San Juan Islands? What's it like to be an orca at SeaWorld? What's it like to be a chimpanzee in the wild in captivity? So that the judges themselves can grasp that. So it's really an attempt to reach their emotions, but also to reach their intellect. So that is, we humans are really funny. Some of us are more emotion, intellect. We're all both, but judges, or hunters, or people who come to see you, what is going to reach you? And it's really a trial, it's a trial and error. So we have to not be wedded to what we're doing. We have to see what works and things that don't work. We go back to the drawing board and see what else.
Like,
Can
see,
you two stop looking at me when you say hunter? It's a previous one.
Stephen brings up a great point. That's the technological age that we live in, and images are so powerful. In fact, that's what the Animal Cruelty Exposure Fund is all about. It's about getting images out there, and we live in a time with social media and video can be just anywhere and everywhere, right at the tip of your fingertips. Right at your fingertips. I connect to that. Right at your fingertips. You can see these images of factory farms, of poaching, of a caged chimpanzee, of gestation. So we can see all this and we can share it and we can convince other people with these images that this is wrong. And once we get that 10%, hopefully we will reach our tipping point. I also want to point out with Damien that you're saying that all this poaching is the same people that are running guns and child prostitution and all this, but the positive side of that is it is illegal.
Yeah,
it is illegal. So isn't that, at least the step, I'm sure at one point it wasn't illegal. So at least it's illegal now, and we have to keep the illegal people from trying to commit crimes, but at least it's a crime. At one point it wasn't a crime. Is that correct?
True. So yeah, in some countries, a few years, Mozambique a few years ago, killed an elephant or a rhino with a $20 fine. Now it's up to a 14-year jail sentence. But I have upon me some I would say animal rights thinkers, because I see people that are doing all this amazing work in slaughterhouses and having to get undercover footage, and people that are fighting for the rights of animals in courthouses. And if we see someone about to hurt an animal, we are legally allowed to shoot them dead. So there's a lot of these countries that we operate in have a shoot-on-sight policy for armed poachers. Botswana, Zimbabwe, Swaziland. These are countries where if you see an armed poacher there, you can switch your weapon to automatic and engage. What we have done as an organisation is trying to step back. But at the end of the day, I need to go around and convince people around the world that some vigilante force out there just stacking up bodies in the bush, which we're not. We're operating with and on behalf of governments and the private sector in these countries. And what we have found is well-trained rangers are generally able to take charge of the situation before it descends into a firefight. But we do have that law behind us. If push comes to shove, and this is a war on the ground. Rangers are out there right now as we sit here in the bush, patrol, walking up to 30, 40 miles a day, risking their life, not so much from the poachers they're trying to stop, but from the animals they're trying to protect and the wildlife. So you've got the rock stars in my work. They work for a minimum salary. They dedicate their entire lives to living in some of the harshest, most dangerous conditions on this planet, and they do it for animals. And the opportunity to be able to support them is the greatest thing, the greatest opportunity I've ever known.
And there is the tide is turning, and look at Cecil the lion. I mean, 10 years ago, the lion got shot in Africa, but it made the front page of every paper in the United States. I mean, it really did.
That was the Arab Spring of conservation.
I mean, so like, all these little things do matter, and I keep stressing that because I know suffer from compassion fatigue, where you go to bed at night and you're like, this just can't change. It's too overwhelming. And it's not. It's not overwhelming. It's not too overwhelming. It's hard work, but it's not too overwhelming. We look what Stephen's done, and Tom's done, and Damien's done, and what all of us do. The activists in the street at a protest. I mean, everyone matters, and every act matters.
I think the biggest mistake we can make is to believe that our individual efforts don't mean enough. Collectively, they do mean something. I know sometimes it can feel like despair, but you should sleep at night knowing the situation would be much worse if we weren't all doing what we're doing. So thank you, and it's good to be on the right side of history.